Recently, the crypto market has been extremely uneventful, to say the least. Every time the price goes up $500, the bulls claim victory. Every time the price goes down $500, the bears claim victory. But in reality, nothing has happened whatsoever. And so this begs the question, why is the price of Bitcoin behaving the way it is right now? And what's pretty clear to me is that we can't just use traditional technical analysis to answer that question. It's not very helpful right now. What we have to do is actually dive into some more fundamental analysis, some on-chain metrics. What is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. My name is Kevin Svenson, and today we're going to be discussing some on-chain analysis to answer some of these questions that clearly are unable to be answered by traditional TA. Before we get started, be sure to smash up that like button and also hit that big red subscribe button if you have not done so already. So the first on-chain metric that I want to take a look at is the Bitcoin Puell Multiple. Now, most of you guys are probably familiar with this chart, which is from lookintobitcoin.com. I'm going to be looking at the Bitcoin Puell Multiple from checkonchain.com because they have this nice daily proof of work block reward line here on the chart. This chart allows us to see whether miners are under relative stress or relative profits, right? Green or red. Now, the actual Puell Multiple at the bottom of the chart shows the levels of, relative profits or extreme profits, or relative stress or extreme stress, these color codes here. Now, if we go back to the Look into Bitcoin chart, we can take a look at exactly what this is. Now, for those of you that are not familiar, this metric looks at the supply of Bitcoin's economy, Bitcoin miners, and their revenue. It explores the market cycles from a mining revenue perspective. Bitcoin's miners are sometimes referred to as compulsory sellers. Miners are the biggest sellers in the Bitcoin market. The Puell Multiple is calculated by dividing the daily issuance value of Bitcoins in US dollars by the 365-day moving average of daily issuance value. Understanding these periods of time can be beneficial to the strategic Bitcoin investor. So the black line here is showing the block rewards in terms of US dollar value, right? This chart. It looks like the Bitcoin price chart, but it's just showing the block rewards in US dollar terms. And the moving average going through is the 365-day moving average. And whenever the block rewards comes down below the 365-day moving average, it's usually a fairly good accumulation zone. And when it goes above, it basically means that the miners are entering profit territory. And at the bottom of the screen right here, we can see that the Puell Multiple on the 27th of June entered this area of miner stress, right? This is miner stress. And if you're looking at the chart, we went below the 365-day moving average as well. And going from June 17th to June 27th, the miners were under stress. And looking at the Bitcoin chart on the 6-hour, June 17th, this area right here, going all the way until June 27th, this area right here, well, that pretty much encapsulated the entire test of the 28.8K level, or for Bitstamp, 28,600, right? The lowest low of this range. The miners were put into extreme stress in this area. And like I was saying at the beginning of this video, why is it that the price of Bitcoin is behaving the way it is? Why are we just going completely sideways right now and nothing's happening at these levels? Well, it's likely because the miners, if they sell right now, they would be putting themselves back into an area of stress. And I don't think that the miners want to be in an area of extreme stress. It's probably more beneficial to them to wait for Bitcoin to go up into an area of higher profits before they actually start to sell again, right? So that's likely why the price of Bitcoin isn't dumping necessarily, right? Miners don't want to put themselves into more stress. They want to be in profitable territory, of course, right? So that seems to be the most likely answer here. And also, just like in my last video, we discussed the buying power in the market. Looking at this huge green territory right here, it shows that there's a lot of stable coins ready to enter the market, right? They're not being deployed yet. The red means they're being deployed, and green means they're basically ready to be deployed, potential buying power. So miners are likely holding stable coins, not selling. And also we have this chart from William Clemente where the balance of miner wallets has been going up since the beginning of June, right? So miners are accumulating right now. They're not selling. Now, looking at the Puell Multiple once again, what we can observe is that we're at a pretty much like a 1 right now, right? We are basically right smack in the middle of the Puell Multiple, right? We're sitting right on that 365-day moving average. So in reality, in terms of the miner perspective, it's very neutral. We're right in the middle. Theoretically, we could, if the price goes down, put miners in extreme stress for a while before coming back up. That's not out of the question. We could also theoretically recover from here and punch back up into profitable territory, right? It is very much neutral. And that's probably why the price of Bitcoin is so neutral. We're sitting at a point where if we go any lower than this, miners get put into extreme stress, or a stressful position at the very least. And if we go higher than this, well, the miners can start taking a little bit of profits, right? So that's, those are the forces working with us and against us here. And another metric worth mentioning here is the Bitcoin Mayor Multiple, which is measuring the distance of the Bitcoin price from the 200-day moving average historically. The Bitcoin Mayor Multiple is showing us that right now we're currently at, a 0.73. And if we're looking at our probability levels, the 0.7 area would be sitting in between our accumulation buy and generational buy levels. So 0.73 is sitting here in this area, which is in the buy category, right? It's not necessarily a generational buy. It's not necessarily a super strong buy, but we are definitely in an area of accumulation. And we can see that whales miners are accumulating right now, and they're not necessarily in an area to be selling, right? They're not in a position to be selling at the moment. So that's kind of why I think Bitcoin's price is behaving the way it is here. And so in conclusion, I think it's more likely that miners would probably wait to sell until they're in an area of profitability, waiting for the Bitcoin Puell Multiple to come back up into this red territory. Right now, we're pretty much on the fence, guys. We're like right in the middle. Whether we see a lower high from this point and a move lower, or whether we see a full recovery from this point, either way, I think it's more likely that we would probably be going up from here, just based on all of those metrics. But of course, anything can happen. So that's just from my perspective, what I think. Of course, it's not financial advice. If Bitcoin's price was to come down further, let's say we came all the way down to like 25K or something like that, very likely, the miners would be, once again, sitting in an area of extreme stress, right? Chopping down in this range here, which would put us in a good area of accumulation before potentially coming back up later on. And the Mayor Multiple, the Bitcoin Mayor Multiple, would be sitting in an area likely of a generational buy, right? We've only spent very little time here in the past sitting at these low levels. So if Bitcoin did come back into the mid 20K range, it would likely be a strong buy, a generational buy point for Bitcoin. So in my opinion, we're likely at the bottom now, but if we go lower, we probably wouldn't spend all that much time at those low points, in my opinion. Based on all the on-chain metrics, I don't think we would spend much time down there at all. So very likely we are in an area of good accumulation, or at least decent accumulation. So this is probably why when we get to these low 30K ranges or just below 30,000, we get bought right up, right? It's a pretty good area of accumulation. So I hope all this makes sense. Hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, hit that like button, subscribe to this channel if you're new, and I'll see you guys in the next video.